And that, Ooiue, is why Cleons are dumb.
This show is mine! I tell you. Actually, officially mine now. Yeah, so let's cover this, shall we? And this show is mine. Welcome to the Foundry Files. I'm Ooiue, and that person no longer exists because I zapped him all the way to the other side of the planet. So, anyway, we are covering quite a bit today. We've got a bit of news. We are...
Not cool, Ooiue. Not cool. Making me walk across the U.S.? Ah, cool.
Funny though. Anyway, we're covering the news, and we'll get into that a bit later. We've got a Foundry contest number 6 winner, Thorley and stuff. Getting into that, bit of Neverwinter in there as well. We're moving on to quick tips. The final one, replayability, covered by that douchebag. And then we are going to review part 3 of Captain Revo's Cleon series. In the review section, we've got a bit of discussion on the stuff everybody likes nowadays, Romulans, and we got a couple of plugins at the end for closing time. Closing time, ugh, sounds too generic.
Let's go to news. Oh my god, so welcome to the news, guys. Let me catch my breath, and then I'll tell you guys, okay, here we go.
Now, pressure.
Okay, here we go. If you haven't heard, what rock are you living under? Romulan Faction confirmed. Who was right? This guy, the ginger kid. Anyway, so yeah, we've got Romulans confirmed. Oh my god, I'm pumped.
We may be the Foundry Files, the Foundry podcast, but it's something we simply can't ignore. It's
we're gonna talk about it real quick.
Default. We have to cover this.
I love it, dude. How pumped are you for this? This is gonna change the game so much.
Yeah. I mean, there's people out there saying like, "Oh, I called the Romulan Faction back last May" or something ridiculous like that, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a +1 for the game, and
if it's done right,
levels 1 to 20 for the KDF as well, which is also very beneficial there.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are kind of focusing on the Romulans, but I do like that they're finally making it, because this was the one thing when we talked about the Cleons, didn't I say the one thing I thought they did wrong with that faction was you couldn't make one right off the bat? That's a huge problem because you get invested to your Fed.
Yeah, I think a couple of weeks ago, I think I mentioned that things started to be pointing towards the Romulan faction, maybe a couple of points and a few clean updates, and I was suspecting maybe it's both. And alright, yeah, I'm gonna use my ego in here and say I called it.
I called it.
You're actually hiring both. Nobody cares about you, man. But yeah, it's really beneficial for the game overall. First expansion for Stowe.
That's exciting too.
It's a free one. I think it's a free one. I don't think it's a paid for one, so don't worry about that.
Because it's free.
Because
it's free. You know how much cool crap's gonna go on the C-store or whatever now? Because I'm just like, okay, they're not making any money off of this from us, so they're gonna be doing some crazy C-store crap for the Romulans that I better be saving up all my stipends, because I'm like, there's gonna be stuff I'm gonna probably want to buy. Because you look at Neverwinters, oh my god, there's so much stuff in their C-store and stuff that it's like, oh, I want this.
Launched yet?
I know their C-store is crammed with stuff, way more stuff than Stowe has.
Yeah, the C-store in Stowe is already pretty crammed, and expect it to be a lot more crammed than the Romulans are now. Because you're going to have to develop new ships for the Sea Star, maybe like the Scimitar, hint,
costumes,
a few costumes, variants maybe, that sort of thing. So
yeah, so definitely a lot there. Really... So the part I'm worried about though is one for Cleons. They're adding levels 1 through 20, but I didn't expect that because you're thinking, okay, if they're gonna focus on making the Romulan faction a full faction like the Feds, that's gonna take a lot of effort and work. That's what makes me kind of worried about if they did all that for the Romulans. When did they get time to do the fleshing out of the Cleon faction? Because already
that's actually an interesting point I want to bring up. Name the last mission, an actual mission, not counting adventure zones, that was added to the game. What was it?
Alpha. No, Alpha. It was for Cleons. For both sides, it was the 3rd anniversary.
Any mission at all, doesn't matter what faction. It would be Alpha. Last April, the counterpart to Utopia Phoenicia. That was last April.
Yeah, a while ago.
That is literally a year ago. What if they've been stocking up since then? Stocking up content, stocking up missions. It would make complete sense considering the size of this update.
I hope they were stocking them up.
Absolutely makes sense, yeah. And I know people out there saying, "Oh no, Cryptic's history, they're going to be terrible. It's going to be the most terrible history ever."
Lock boxes.
Yeah. You look at their free-to-play model when they put it on Shibble. They put it up there for like 2 full months, and they ironed it out massively because they needed to do it for free-to-play. This is the same kind of level of update. The Romulan faction are coming. The Romulans are coming. You can get to play for them. Don't underestimate this Tribble thing. I would absolutely suggest everyone go into Tribble and not underestimate it. Save your kind of pessimistic opinions for later, because this is going to be really, really good.
Dude, and so I think the Romulan faction, so far from what I'm seeing, is going to be a hit, because it looks like they're going to be completely different from the Fed and Cleon experience, because what we're seeing there is it's going to be a unique story for both Romulans and Remans. They're already plugging it as that. Something to do with like Sela and the Tal Shiar and all that stuff. Like, you're trying to overcome the corrupt Romulan government that's always been there and fight for your freedom. So we're already getting that kind of feel. That's going to be like their plot line there for you being a Romulan or a Reman or whatever alien. I assume you can also make a random alien. But the other things that are really drawing my attention there is, who the heck is this new bad guy? This is what I'm curious about. What the heck?
Yeah. The thing about that is, we saw a screenshot of one of the things they put up. Support drones and attack drones. Those are the equivalent of the XCOM and the normal support drones that the Feds and Klingons have.
But so they don't look Romulan.
These are Romulans.
They don't look Romulan. I don't think they are.
They don't look. They look at aliens. So
I think they're the alien thing that we saw.
Those things. This new faction kind of points towards a unique enemy for the Romulans, a bit like the Valkyria for the Klingons, except this is for the Romulans. And I'm thinking they'll approach it a similar way, because as far as we know, the Romulans wouldn't have a carrier unless you really count the Scimitar. So maybe they're going to steer.
The Scimitar's a carrier. It carried the Scorpion fighters.
Well, yeah, that's what I said, apart from the Scimitar. Yeah. But maybe they're going to do the same approach. Maybe steal one of their ships or two. Maybe they're going to curve it into the line, a bit like we got the Car 5 battle carrier. That's scary, but you can play as it, nevertheless. So maybe they're going to do something like that and add in a couple more ships in the game, because don't forget, 20 unknown ships back in January.
We don't know what they are.
20 ships. You know 5 of them. We know 4 of them are being announced. The 2 that are praised, the Warbird and the Valda. We know the variants out, and the Scimitar is probably going to come as well. So that's 6. What are the other 14?
I don't know. That's my the most curious part for me is I don't know what ship I'm flying on the Romulan factions. That's why I want to know them all, because it seems like there's going to be tons. If there isn't, then it's going to kind of hurt the Romulan faction in the end. And I assume Cryptic's smart enough to not do that. I have to say, I'm actually interested in flying the TO Spreader Prayer now rather than the Enterprise one, because it puts a new perspective on an original series piece of material. I'm hoping it'll be Tier 5. Probably won't, because it's original series. But like recording. We don't know.
But I'll definitely be trying to fly that more than really the Enterprise Spreader Prayer, because it looks really good in that screenshot.
You guys should go definitely check out the website. They've got tons of information up there on a variety of things you're going to be able to do. We're going to have a Foundry discussion at the end of the show to kind of cover what we think this means. We kind of covered what we thought it meant for the Foundry, but this discussion is going to be more focused on what the Foundry needs to have added to it to work for the Romulans. Because right now, as it stands, I don't think the Foundry is in good enough shape to make Romulan missions. So we're going to discuss what Cryptic should definitely look at adding in for the Romulan faction in the Foundry. So now we've also got the Foundry contest number 6 winner here. Who was it, Ooiue? What do we got?
The Depths of Nukara Prime by @P_Sutherland.
Oh, this was the Tholian challenge too, so there were a bunch submitted.
Finally have a Tholian mission. This is going to be the mission we're going to view after the series, Murph.
Yeah.
It's
we got to check it out.
Sound a bit familiar as well. He's got a few prolific missions out there that are pretty good.
Well, I thought I recognized the name.
Prime, of course, is the Adventure Zone.
Yeah, so now it's expanding on the story. There's, of course, I remember reading that one. I was like, this is definitely going to be up there for winning because already it's dealing with Nukara Prime, and that's definitely a place that could have been expanded on quite a bit in game. So it seems like you're rescuing a freighter or something like that from there. I don't want to read the whole summary; it's long, but it basically looks like that. So we'll check it out and we'll be reviewing that 3 or 4 weeks out. So once the series is done, that's what we'll be checking out. So awesome. Okay. Another Neverwinter beta weekend is going on right this minute. We're not playing it, so we can do this show for you guys right now. Let me just say.
Well, it's not really this minute. By the time this episode is released, it's already finished.
Well, as we're recording it right now, it's going on.
For me personally, because because Neverwinter is really, really good.
He loves it. You didn't get to play it. This is your first weekend playing it.
This is the first time playing it.
So tell us what you think, because I talked about it last time.
Like less than a day, I got up to level 20. I'm really, really liking Neverwinter. It's really, really good. Definitely check it out. I really would recommend this.
So, have you had a chance to like play? I don't know if you're in the alpha for the Foundry over there, but have you had a chance to play like Foundry missions in Neverwinter, or see how Foundry's incorporated over there? What are your thoughts?
I haven't really had a chance to play an actual Foundry mission because I've been not involved in the actual gameplay and the storyline of the thing in the game itself. But I looked at the UI and it's extremely integrated. I mean, really, really. I mean, you've got the missions, the new missions, the hot missions up there. You can see it as a little picture and all that kind of stuff in the main UI. It's got its own tab, of course. There's the subscription button we covered last week. It's really, really good as far as UI at least. I haven't tried some of the missions, so expect them to be good.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to play any Foundry missions during this beta. I've just been busy trying. I'm actually trying out the class you're playing as now, Rogue. I just wanted to play that and see if I like that fun class.
It's like the only class I'm never going to try.
Yeah, I haven't had as much time to play this weekend just because I've been super busy. Today was going to be my day. I played a whole bunch, but I have to pump this episode out because my spring break's coming up and I don't want to be spending time editing the whole time. So I'm working on that for the rest of the day. So I probably won't get in for a while until late tonight. But from what I played, I don't know what I expect from Foundry missions. I think actually when the game releases, I'm expecting to see some awesome, cool story Foundry missions that we might actually check out. We'd have to figure out if we actually want to review one on the show or something, because I know our score sheet, the way it works right now, is more stow. I don't even think we could. We'd have to work on it for Neverwinter, I think, because there's definitely some differences. But anyway, I think that's all the news, right? Should I go cover some quick tips and replayability over there? Yeah, let's go. Bye.
Yeah, let's go for the last one.
Hello and welcome to the final segment of Quick Tips. Oh, I'm going to be kind of sad to see it go, but hey, we've got all of our quick tips out of the way. We'll probably come out with maybe some other tips and like specific Foundry stuff later on, but this is just the quick tips for the different categories we look at on our scoring sheet and stuff like that. So this week is replayability. Now this gets your player to play your mission again. Now of course that's kind of hard. Some people don't play missions again, but this is judging on, is there anything really of value to play through it again? Is something going to be different, or is it just going to be the exact same thing? A way to make your mission different for a playthrough is to add in branching dialogue. Having that for just someone who will play your mission once really improves the gameplay experience because you're giving them choice there and what they can do. But for somebody who's going to play through it again, maybe on an alt or even the same character, that gives them a different experience when they play through a mission if you do branching dialogue correctly. Now, without branching objectives, it is kind of hard to pull off multi-path stories or alternate endings, but a workaround that has been used by branching dialogue is to use that and triggers to possibly create multi-path missions and alternate endings for possible choices for a playthrough. And then, optional dialogue and objectives are a great way to give someone a reason to go back and play a mission, because they might do some of the optional objectives, or they might not. They might skip it, but when they go back and replay it, maybe they'll do some of those optional objectives. A great example has been the Cleon mission series by Revo we've been playing through recently. He's done a lot of optional stuff that you talk to some optional people, or you can do some optional things. There's some great replayability there, and some other missions have done some great work there. So there's some quick tips on replayability to get people to play your mission over and over again. So there was some quick tips on replayability there. Thanks for tuning in for the quick tips, guys, and now on to our review.
And on to our review by Revo. Review.
Oh, that's punny. Let's move on quick before people laugh. Anyway.
Nah, don't bother. Part 3 of the series, The Prisoner by Captain Revo, Klingon series. As of this recording, it has 2,300 players and an average star rating of 4.16. So it's doing pretty decently up there, I'd say, this series so far.
Yeah, it's not like all the missions we cover always score in 4.1 or something like that for star rating. I forgot to mention that when we covered our 5-star rating system, so I just had to throw that out there. Please notice how in every time we cover the star rating, it's like the same. So that tells you how good the star rating system is doing. Go on.
What do you have to say on story first, then, though?
Well, enemies are at work here, Ooiue, against your Klingon Empire. I just have to say, it seems like everybody's out to get them and plotting to destroy you guys. So, sorry about that. But anyway, so you must clear your name and blah. You must clear your name by finding the Romulan you captured in Part 1. And you must find the real traitor within the Klingon Empire. So, again, it's going back to some events in Part 1, which was really good to see, because in Part 2, the Romulan wasn't really the focus. It was kind of like, oh, what happened to the Romulan prisoner we captured? So you're going back to this in this part. And it's brilliantly done, just because already everybody thinks you're a traitor for what happened in Part 2, where the whole fleet got obliterated and stuff like that. But you know that there's somebody else out there who has betrayed the Klingon Empire. Because if somebody didn't betray the Klingon Empire, that fleet would be fine. And you wouldn't have gone into the trap in Part 2. So, the plot was a really good, I think, really good for this. It's the middle of the story arc, so of course you really need to have a good plot twist and stuff like that. And the mission really succeeded at that, I felt. How did you feel about it, Ooiue?
Yeah, it actually, it was kind of expected. I said this a couple of episodes ago, back when we did Part 1. Part 1 wasn't really supposed to be that good, because you would underestimate your entire series. Part 3 is where I think things should get interesting, and it really shows it in this series at least, because plenty of plot twists, things that are unexpected, and some very interesting points in this mission plot-wise as well. Really makes it up a good series. I want to play Part 4 and 5.
Yeah, and that's a good sign, because you've already invested a lot of time into it, but you want to keep it's fresh and surprised. If it starts getting old, people are going to drop it. And I think this mission does a really great job of keeping the mission refreshed, because a lot of new stuff is being thrown into this plot that I could have seen it kind of being more of the same, and it really isn't. So that's what's good to see here from plot. The characters are really good too. I was glad to see, because I remember in Part 1 I was kind of just like, yeah, the characters, I hope he expands on them. He really does in this part, and that kind of ties back in with the plot being twisted and stuff like that. Some of these things you don't even expect, and that's what makes some of the characters really great in this part. The dialogue was well written, though I found it quite wordy at some times. Like, right off the bat, you're talking with, like, an Orion or something like that, and it's really long conversation. Dialogue box after dialogue box, and I just started to kind of doze off. Afterwards, it gets better, but right off the bat, I was just kind of like, oh, I'm reading and reading and reading. I gotta do something.
I wouldn't call it that bad. There is definitely more dialogue in this mission than there are in previous parts, but it's not that bad.
At least it's well written. So
yeah, it's well written. So those of you who have superior reading abilities than Murphy should find this good.
Yep, because I'm American. We got guns and beer and stuff. Anyway, moving on. We got some good canon usage in this mission and some touchstoning on Klingon mythology and some other races in this stuff. Can't go too much into detail because then I spoil the plot and then you don't have a reason to play it. Which, of course, I would never want to do because you need stuff to do on the Klingon side. Anyway, then so there's some very minor spelling and grammar issues in this mission. Very minor. I think I picked up one grammar. We picked up one spelling, so you're not really going to have any issues there while playing through this mission. Story scored an 8.5, our 13th ranked in the story category. Next up is technical here. Anyway, wow. That was the worst transition I think I would have possibly done here.
Yep. Please spare the audiences in the future to never do that again.
I'm sorry, audience. Please don't leave. We really can't afford it. Oh, thanks for all our subscribers. Throw out to you. I was glad to see that really went up recently, so thanks. Don't leave us. We're going to be lonely. Anyway, so some good customization of the maps, but there's nothing really quite new in this mission. Like, some of the maps you go to are good and all, but you still can kind of recognize them. The space maps are new, but the ground stuff easily recognizable at some points. But some good customization still on them anyway. Some good transitions in the mission, though. We felt some points it was kind of slow. I didn't get that feeling as much, but I could see where he was getting it because I was like, yeah, not much to do on that map.
I think I said it last week for part 2. There were 1 or 2 maps that really felt short and uninteresting.
Yeah.
That you don't do much in before you transition, so it's just a loading screen hash. This mission kind of is the same thing, except it's not as well done as it was in part 2.
Yeah.
But generally, though, it's actually pretty good. Just maybe 1, 2, or 3 in this time, rather than just the 1 or 2 in the previous mission.
The author shows good knowledge of the Foundry tool as there are no issues. Nothing really special done to show like he's mastered the tool set in this mission, but no issues there, so that's good to see. It seems like he knows how everything's working out, so you still have a generally good working mission. Some limited art asset usage in the mission to customize like the space maps and the ground maps in a way, because you do go down to Ruapente and he's putting buildings and stuff to make it look different, and then the caves have some stuff that's been added into them to make them look like a prison-y area. But other than that, then creativity, there's some in the technical field there. I did like some of the maps he threw together and stuff like that. Wasn't really a huge wow moment. We've really got wow moments with the story, though, and stuff like that. I try to look more on the technical side for creativity, but boy, story.
But plot-wise,
yes.
Yeah, plot-wise, it was really, really unexpected.
Yeah.
We really can't see anything in this. You have to
play it and experience it.
Yeah.
Some good instructions in this mission. Definitely, I never found myself getting lost. I don't know about you, Ooiue, but I felt they were really well written in this mission.
And it was pretty generic actually. Pretty average. Nothing too overly complex. Saying like this, yeah, you can go this way and go around this person and go around this way. That kind of stuff. It wasn't really needed at all. But there isn't so few where you don't know where you're going. So yeah, I think it was just right in this mission. Pretty average, pretty generic.
Yep, but still good. You're not going to get lost. Limited, for Foundry limitations, there is some stuff here this week that's different from just reskinning ships for once. It seems like we've been saying that every week for a while now. But though there was some of that in this mission, but it really wasn't as big of an issue as some of the other stuff we had here. But so he does reskin some of the alien ships to be, because you did meet that alien guy at the end of part 2, I believe it was. This part you'll figure out what the heck's going on.
Yeah,
and you will. Yep. And so in this one though, you face one of their alien ships, but the problem is there's like 5 alien ships in the ship tailor, so that kind of limits the options there. And
I think the one he used was the Fakiri Dreadnought again, the one you saw in part 1. And except this time, I think it was more of there's not enough generic battleships. Really, there's not enough. I mean, you can use some of the generic ones, but there's no variety in them, and there's no alien really looking them. They literally are generic.
So Cryptic fix it.
Yeah, and there's no generic mobs either. You have to pick a specific
and that's another point up here.
To try and think. Yeah, I think this time it was reskinned as a Romulan thing, so I expect heavy plasmas.
Yep.
But
that was for space. On the ground, I believe he reskinned a couple of Hirogen at some points, because I remember a point where one of the aliens or whatever, somebody put down a Hirogen generator and it spawned like holographic Hirogen. It was weird. Like, because it was like, why are they here?
It's a bit iffy. It's good that they've added these sort of things, but it really doesn't help Foundry in any way.
I think part of the reason that happened was because in my own series, I reskinned Hirogen to be generic aliens, and at the time I did that, they didn't spawn the holographic Hirogens, and this mission was an early made mission, so I think it's suffering from that same thing here. There you go, drink, plug for my series.
You're a terrible plug-in.
Yes, I'm going to plug it every episode. That's why I made the show, guys. Technical scored a 6.26, or 25th ranked in the technical field, so it's doing pretty good there as well. Some stuff it could be improved on, or maybe just to show some creativity stuff there, but overall, still good. Alright, Game Master Ooiue, I know you've been dungeoning and stuff like that, so take it away.
Well, back to Stowe.
Oh, right.
There is a bit of space combat, rather naturally. It is called Star Trek. Anyway, space gameplay was kind of weak. Yeah, similar to other parts, this is the part of the mission that needs improving. There's not much to do in this front.
I think there's two things now.
A couple of mobs. you blow up a couple of mobs, you go here, and that's about it. So I think generally space gameplay needs definitely improving, overall in the series. But space combat, it was generally pretty good. In this mission, it was pretty functional. Some good points in the combat, such as making a choice to fight a carrier or not. The carrier is not in the fight itself, but the pets are spawned next to it to make it look like a proper carrier fight. So it's like an NPC ship, and you've got lots of mobs like fighters and a couple of frigate groups or weak groups, that kind of thing, that spawn out of it and make it look like a really good carrier fight. It's actually pretty good. I've seen a couple of those before. Mobs are usually not multi-stack most of the time, except in that carrier thing, but it was pretty good overall, I'd say. So, generally, combat in space was generally good, yeah. A bit of ground gameplay, and like the other parts, it was very engaging. Like Part 2, plenty of optional dialogue options and interactive objects to give the player a sense of immersion in the mission.
Yep.
Doesn't fail in this mission at all. Keeps going from Part 2. Good overall otherwise, but brilliant on this part. Ground combat was interesting. Reskinned Herogen mobs, as we just mentioned, makes the combat interesting once again. Teflon weapons are your mortal enemies.
Yeah.
So watch out for those.
Watch your shields, guys.
Like Part 2, again, no multi-stack groups, but the combat is interesting nevertheless because of the Herogen. So kind of the same thing as it in Part 2. And there is a bit of replayability involved in this. This is where our thing got kind of divulged as far as story. Multiple decisions are present that are directly involved with the story this time, whereas Part 2 it didn't. And both you and I, Murph, made different decisions.
We didn't even know it.
Whether to fight this carrier or not. And I don't want to spoil anything on this run, but you get an option to fight this carrier or not. So what are you going to do? Murphy took the rubbish
I
decision.
just went pew pew pew.
Screw you! I'll fight it all.
I'm playing
And he ended up fighting out the entire hangar bay of that carrier there, whereas I didn't.
And I didn't even know you had the option, so I guess whatever. But I'm a Cleon. I'm gonna go pew pew on that side. That's what I'm over there.
Again, most of the population of the Earth with superior reading skills than Murphy would be able to get through that.
Man, you must have really been pissed off about me changing your show doc that one episode. Okay, so gameplay score go.
7.0 in 20th place. I'm still getting it at some point.
We'll find out. But anyway, so this was a great third part to the series all around. Some touch-ups could have been used in some areas, but overall the mission just works, and I do recommend it as somebody to go play through it on the Cleon side, because already I definitely think, now that I've played Part 3, I feel comfortable going, hey, go play the whole series, even though I haven't finished it yet. Because I felt like in Part 1 and 2, I was like, it's good. Would I go out there and just go, hey, this is the top mission, you should probably go play on the Cleon side? Now this is one I would actually think at this point, I'd go, hey, you definitely need to go check this out on that side, because the story's getting interesting, and I'm definitely curious to see what happens in Parts 4 and 5, because it's definitely progressing in a great way.
I can see why the series is up where it is, because Part 3 is where it really gets interesting. I think Parts 4 and 5 are higher than all the other parts there. They're the top 2 parts of the series, I think. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Overall, it scored a 7.27, our 22nd ranked mission now, so very good overall. Definitely go check it out, guys.
And on to the discussion of the week. Romulans. That's what we're discussing. Yeah, the Romulans. We covered it earlier. We covered it earlier in the news. What will the Foundry need to make great missions for the Romulans? That's literally the question we're going to ask ourselves today, and we're going to cover it. So, what does the Foundry need for great missions for Romulans, Mo?
Well, as it stands right now, alone, I don't think it's ready to tell Romulan stories. That's why we're covering this, because if you look at it, if they don't add anything in, which is highly probable, because we don't know if they're actually working on ways to incorporate Romulans into the Foundry right now. And even if you go and listen to Stoked Radio, Haverhall was on there, and he commented on it, I go, yeah, I kind of have he's right, because he said basically he doesn't see the Foundry getting any updates for Romulans. And I was like, yeah, right off the bat, I don't see it, but I definitely think it's going to need it in the future, because the things we're going to hit here are key. So let's just start hitting them now. You'll see that these are basic things that I don't think the Romulans are going to have right off the bat. They don't have it for now, for sure. But first of all, let's see. What are going to be needed? More Romulan art assets. You look at it right now, you got a lot of Fed ones, a good deal of Cleon ones, very little Romulans. Very little. So
I'd actually say Cleon Romulans are on the same level. I mean, you've got a couple of bridges for Cleons, but that's about it. The rest is just a wall or two. So there's hardly any Cleon ones in there already.
That's a bad sign
it's rather
for the
unfortunate.
Romulans.
Actually, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, back when we did Part 1 of Revo series. The reason the mission map was like that was because there was hardly any Romulan assets to experiment with.
Yeah, and that's going to be a major problem.
And that's the major problem, yeah. And I'm hoping these will get put in as soon as possible, whether it's in May or not, I'm not sure. I'm hoping these will get put in, as well as some more Klingon ones. Just iron it out, because we really need some in this. and to make some decent missions for all the factions. And I think this will be the prominent thing to get the Romulans going, as well as all the stuff that already has announced. So, yeah.
Then next up this is definitely one that is going to be needed. It's the
a
Romulan and Reman character creator, because as it stands right now, you only got the Feds and the Cleons.
I think that's going to probably... I'm actually suspecting that's probably going to go in with the faction. That's going to have to go in the Foundry.
Yeah.
Right immediately. Whether you have Romulan assets or not is irrelevant, but you're going to have to be able to create a Romulan and Reman character from, like...
That's probably the most important point.
Ground character, you have Starfleet, Klingon, and they're going to have to add a Romulan.
Well, as it stands right now, there aren't many Romulan costumes in the Foundry, even pre-made. So that already really limits storytelling there. But if you're trying to make stories for the Romulans specifically, only having those costumes is going to suck. You're going to definitely need to be able to create your own.
The perspective I have in it is, the costumes be irrelevant, costumes be damned. But what we need is different people, different characters. As for costumes, you can't just keep using the same old generic captain over and over again.
Yeah.
Which is rather unfortunate. And the thing about it is, if they add this in, I would definitely go back to my own series and re-edit my Romulan for this, because this is something I really, really need. Never mind the costumes, just add a basic uniform, maybe a variant or two. Just give us the sliders available.
Well, yeah, I assume at that point, if they're going to do that, they're going to add in the costumes and that stuff, because honestly, I'm hoping it's as easy as take the Romulan character creator that they're creating when the Romulan faction gets released and just put it in the Foundry. I hope it's that easy. Maybe they have to do a little things to tweak it in, but I'm hoping that's something they can easily do, because if that's missing, that's going to really hurt Romulan Foundry missions and the ability to create them. And what's our last point?
More Romulan maps. I mean, we already covered this a bit. The stock maps are really the only things you can use, because there's not enough assets to actually customize anything with.
And they're very limited too.
Maps, bridges especially, because it's pretty much a default that we're gonna have bridges with the ships. You have to assume that.
I mean, they're making them for lockbox ships, so.
Yeah, lockbox ships is a different scenario, but they're gonna have to. I mean, you got Klingon ones. You're gonna have to put Romulans in as well. And so, it kind of ties itself in. You're gonna have to be able to create, have the ability. It kind of ties itself with the art assets and maps together. Really, you're gonna have to be able to create your own little map, like 800 feet in the air, with plenty of assets, and then just like a crummy corridor that looks like nothingness with a grey floor, which I tried badly. So, yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think I like seeing the custom maps and stuff, but you're definitely going to want to have pre-made Romulan maps in there for authors who aren't as skilled at creating their own interiors and stuff. So, and I know there's probably a ton of Romulan maps out there from the missions that are already in game that could be added in for future use. So I hope that's something they can add in. But those are 3 major points that we saw there. If you guys see any out there that you think that are going to need to be added into the Foundry for the arrival of the Romulan faction, let us know in the comments and stuff, and we'll hit it if we see any really good ones and stuff like that. But anyway, just to let you guys know, we are going to be off next week, so there will not be an episode, but afterwards we'll be coming back, and boom, we are like jam-packed for next month. We're going to be like on the roll, kickboxing it up, reviewing mission after mission after mission, hopefully, because we got tons rating. We're going to be finishing up the Revo series. What? I was on a roll there, dude.
Well, yeah, you can't roll, though, because the only thing you do is sit down and exercise with your fingers on the keyboard and the mouse.
What do you do? Do you go and walk across country and, like, because somebody flashes you out of existence for like an hour?
Yeah, I used to go across the country and be an adventurer, but I got an hour to the moon.
Anyway, so we're going to be hitting some awesome missions. We got the rest of Revo series. We've gotten some missions from Bizag, Rogue Enterprise. I know we're hitting those. We got to hit that Tholian mission. There's a new author who submitted to us. I know I want to hit his mission up, because we want to help out new authors to let them know what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and what they can improve on, stuff like that. And also, I'm hoping it works out. The next episode might be organized a little differently, because we're hoping to get a special guest on. So if we might not be able to review a mission, did I say next week? 2 weeks out, whatever. The next episode, hopefully a special guest. That will be exciting to see. Hopefully everything works out for that. But do send us your missions, though. Even though we're backed up on tons of missions we're reviewing, we still want you guys to send them in so we can check them out. foundryfiles@gmail.com. Also, remember you can go download us on iTunes now. Just search Foundry Files. It's under Stoked Radio. So if you find Stoked Radio there, Foundry Files will be under there for episodes. Hopefully. I know episode 19 was there. I assume 20 got put up there. I haven't looked. So you'll be able to download those for on the go. But you can always just take our YouTube video and make audio files out of it. It's easy. Just download audio from YouTube and Google. There'll be like sites there. Just throw the link in and make it yourself.
You want my end of episode comment?
Oh right, here's Ooiue's. We're gonna leave you guys. Enjoy your if you're having a spring break like me. Enjoy your spring break. If you're not and you're working, sucks for you. Haha. Whatever. Okay, here we go. Ooiue, your tip for the next 2 weeks. Make it good. Go.
Play Neverwinter.
But anyway, hey, Foundry Contest number 6 winner for the Tholian Challenge, too. Yeah.
We have a Tholian mission in the Foundry. I'm going to play this. This is going to be a review.
Like 15 others, too.
That's definite.
Yep. So we're definitely checking this out once we're done with Revo series. So, I didn't write the author's name down. I think it was, who was it?
You didn't write the name of the mission down. All we know is a Federation faction.
I copied this terribly. What was this? Hold on.
Yes, you did.
Go ahead. Can you find that real quick? Because if I start pressing buttons, it's going to screw up everything. I did a terrible job copy and pasting that.
Challenge number 6 winner.
Fail.
The Depth of Nukara Prime by P Sutherland. P_Sutherland. Name should sound a bit familiar. He's a prolific Foundry author.
Alright, let's just start over there because that's going to be a pain to edit. So let me go into Foundry.
Oh, we should keep it and make it look fun.
I'll put bloopers, whatever. This isn't podcast UGC. We edit. I called them out. Anyway, here we go. Hey, do you've got the overall score here at all? Because I don't.
Oops. Hang on.
Go find it quick.
That was my bad. I forgot about the overall score.
I was trying to find it, but then I put a tab over our recording, and it was just like, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to find this easily.
My bad.
It's alright. I'll just make fun of it behind your back on Twitter or something.
I almost put 72 there.
Alright, here we go. Edit this in, feature me. Here we go.